Here's something that might shock you. During the 2008 financial crisis, some of the world's top financial institutions completely missed $8 trillion in systemic risk simply because they couldn't visualize data properly. It's like trying to spot an elephant through a keyhole.
That's such a striking example of visualization failure. The way those basic heat maps and line charts masked the true interconnectedness of mortgage-backed securities is almost unbelievable in hindsight.
Let me paint you a picture of what could have been different if they'd used proper network visualizations showing how these securities were connected across institutions. The systemic risks would have been impossible to ignore. Instead, they relied on oversimplified representations that basically hid the complexity.
You know what fascinates me about this? Our brains are literally wired to process visual information faster than numbers. Yet we keep forcing analysts to wade through endless spreadsheets.
That's exactly right. Research shows we can process visual patterns almost instantaneously through pre-attentive processing, while analyzing numbers requires this slower, more deliberate cognitive effort. And here's what's really concerning. We're seeing the same mistakes being repeated right now in ESG analysis.
Oh man, those ESG radar charts are basically creating modern-day blind spots, aren't they? How did we not learn from past mistakes?
Well, let me break down why those ESG visualizations are so problematic. First, they're compressing multiple complex dimensions into a single visual representation, which often masks critical details. Second, they're using scales that make it easy to hide poor performance. And get this, a recent study showed that 73% of ESG misrepresentations could have been caught with better visualization techniques.
That's a staggering statistic. And I've noticed analysts trying to compensate by making their visualizations more complicated, as if adding more layers somehow makes the analysis better.
Oh, you mean the dreaded chart junk phenomenon? I recently reviewed a portfolio attribution presentation where they used a 3D exploding pie chart with 15 segments. Did you know research shows the human brain can only effectively compare up to 5 pie segments at once? Anything beyond that becomes essentially meaningless.
That really makes you think about how many investment decisions are being compromised by poor visualization choices.
Exactly right. And here's something even more concerning. So approximately 8% of males and 0.5% of females have some form of color blindness. Yet most financial visualizations completely ignore accessibility considerations. I recently saw a risk analysis report where the heat map used red for low risk and green for high risk.
Those statistics about color blindness are eye-opening. How are we still not accounting for such a basic accessibility issue in professional financial analysis?
Well, part of the problem is training, or rather the lack of it. Most analysts receive extensive education in financial theory and quantitative analysis, but virtually no formal training in visualization principles. It's like giving someone a Formula One car without teaching them how to drive.
So how do we bridge that gap between the sophisticated tools we have and the actual skills needed to use them effectively?
I think we need a three-pronged approach. First, visualization principles should be integrated into core financial analysis training. Second, firms need to invest in ongoing professional development, specifically focused on data visualization. And third, this is crucial, we need better feedback mechanisms so analysts can learn from both successful and unsuccessful visualization attempts.
That makes sense, but what about the cultural barriers? Many firms still seem to prioritize numerical precision over visual clarity.
That's a critical point. Look at it this way. What good is perfect numerical accuracy if the person making the final decision can't properly interpret the information? Studies show that well-designed visualizations can improve decision-making accuracy by up to 45%, while poor ones can actually reduce accuracy by nearly 30%.
Those numbers really drive home the real-world impact of this issue.
And here's what makes this even more urgent. As we move into an era of bigger data and more complex investment strategies, the ability to effectively visualize information isn't just going to be a nice to have skill. It's becoming a fundamental requirement for survival in the investment industry.
Looking ahead, what do you think are the most critical changes needed?
Let me outline 3 urgent priorities. First, we need better education programs. And I'm talking about practical hands-on training, not just theory. Second, we need to develop industry-wide standards for evaluating visualization effectiveness. And third, we need to create more opportunities for sharing best practices and learning from failures, because right now we're basically repeating the same mistakes across different firms and different markets. And
those are excellent points that really highlight how this isn't just about making prettier charts. It's about fundamentally improving how we analyze and communicate financial information.
Exactly. And let me leave you with this thought. In the next decade, the amount of financial data we'll need to process is expected to increase by 800%. Without better visualization practices, we're essentially flying blind into an increasingly complex future. Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to share something that combines my passion for markets with the power of modern technology. Throughout my career on Wall Street, where I was ranked the #1 analyst by Institutional Investor 10 times, I've always believed that institutional level investment knowledge should be accessible to everyone. That's why I created Insight One. Insight One is where my decades of market expertise meets cutting-edge educational technology. We've taken everything I've learned analyzing markets and working with major financial institutions and transformed it into an interactive learning experience. The platform uses advanced technology to adapt how this knowledge is delivered, making complex investment concepts clear and actionable for every type of learner. This fusion of deep market wisdom and sophisticated edtech is what makes Insight One unique. Whether you're just starting your investment journey or looking to sharpen your skills, you'll have access to the same level of analysis and insights that I provided to institutional investors throughout my career. You can find us on the App Store, on Google Play, or on our website, theinvestmentanalyst.com. So start your journey. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.